So
Okay.
you have been noticing, you've been in recovery now for well over a month.
Yeah.
And you're starting to notice some anxiety or anxiousness, irritability. We did talk last week around, the last couple of sessions we've had were really focused on exercise, because exercise you used to abuse. Like it was either all or nothing. It was like 5 to 6 days a week, and it wasn't just moderate.
Yeah.
It was high intensity, CrossFit, Bikram yoga. I mean, everything that is extreme you did and you were attracted to, and to include the HCG protocol.
Best results.
Totally, and intensity. So your willingness to work really stinking high for really high results, but at the other side of that is this like screw it mentality, where there is absolutely no boundaries, no sense of internal directive. It was always extreme directive given to you by a system, or no boundaries in any way, temporarily, until you go back into a different extreme system. Anyway, so you've noticed that this way of being is so calm and easy that it's kind of boring. Right? And you're like, God, I'm just bored out of my mind. It's like, but I don't want the drama. It's kind of like, living in a very dysfunctional relationship with someone that's constantly in battle, and then in makeup, and then battle and makeup, and then battle, right? And now you're just done, and now you're kind of missing the drama, So I was just going to tell you, by the way, that some of this could be looking for drama. Could be absolute, like you're starting to be magnifying the physical issues like you used to be worse than they really are. And they could be whatever they are. I'm not saying that they're not, but you could be magnifying them, which is creating agitation. The other thing you were just saying, and I want you to go ahead and just repeat what you were saying, which is that before, when you would feel this way, because you would feel this grossness, agitatedness, irritability with the body, right? Before, you would have a bag of tricks, which would be extreme HCG, low sugar, low carb, no food, intermittent fasting, shit train. I mean, crazy exercise routines, and that would have given you an illusion that it was going to feel better. At least you're working on it, so it would get rid of the dissonance around feeling that way physically.
Correct.
And so go ahead and say what you were going to say.
So yeah, things have been great, and just noticed in the last week I've been a little on edge and a little, just kind of cranky, a little irritable. And then, so I really started in on the Patreon tapes and listening to everybody, and what I realized was that, the ones particularly that I was interested in were, are you in and out of recovery? Because I'm trying to figure out what the fuck I am. Am I, or what? Because I know I'm not binge eating, I think I'm not binge eating, and we'll talk about that in a minute. That was one of the things I wanted to bring up. And what was the other one? Oh, there was one about the lady in the wedding dress. That was, are you in and out of recovery? And there was one more that to me where it's like, you're just, it's a different person's voice, but it's me talking, like you're talking straight to me, that was for me. And if I could just remember those, and to re-listen to those over and over again, it's grounding to me.
Mm-hmm. Or reconfirming, maybe, reconfirming the process so that you're getting, have bearings around where you're at. Is that what you're?
Yeah.
So you're going.
Got
it.
Learning how to eat after recovery. That was the other one. Those are the two places right now. Where are you in and out, and and how to learn how to eat. So what I noticed after I listened to the, learning how to eat, is that I think I'm still somewhere, and I might have taken this in a whole different direction. When you told me that I had to not give a fuck anymore and not care anymore, that put me in a place where I was like so relieved. And in a euphoric state, I think I told you the next morning, I sent you an email going, oh my God, for the first time in years, I don't feel guilty about putting what I want in my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there's no restriction. I can put milk in there, I can put sugar in it, I can drink it with soy, I can drink it with this. And I just remember enjoying my coffee so much. And, but immediately after that, when I lost all urge to binge, I was not binging. I was on like a 3-month binge, specifically 2 weeks where I was, the minute my kids would go to class, I would order a pizza and stuff it down my throat because I was panicking. Mm-hmm. That all went away, all subsided. But I think somewhere in there, I'm now like, I'm entitled to eat whatever I want whenever I want to. And so I don't think I'm eating to hunger. I don't think I am.
Okay, I just want you to know I am so not surprised that you're having this type of food issue since our conversations about you wanting to do something about the body. So I just want you to go backwards. So the entitlement to food comes from what?
A victim somewhere.
Well, yes, but the entitlement to food comes from the idea that you shouldn't eat it, you can't eat it, and the restrictions of food. You wouldn't feel entitled to the food if you didn't have a restriction around it. So you have already relapsed, dearie. Mm-hmm. And you'll notice it sucks. You're kind of back into it. It may not be as bad. It's in
definitely
fact
not as bad.
Yeah, but you'll notice that agitation, irritation is something you have felt before to where I got to do something. Yeah. Something's got to be done here. I mean, as soon as someone says gluten intolerance, the first thing I literally think of is sure. Sounds like you're agitated again. Sounds like you're overeating again, and you're blaming it on the gluten intolerance. I could be wrong.
No, that totally is that what I was
every time. It's like, okay, someone has relapsed. I know you didn't see it, and it could be.
If it's something, I think it's something other than that. I don't think it's the gluten and the reason that I'm saying that is because I don't even know yet.
I agree. I would agree, but when someone brings that up, it tells me that they're going back to that kind of brainwashing, the way where it's the food. So it's not the food. Well, I need you. So let's just drop that whole way of thinking about it, because that's kind of how you were conditioned to think prior. And remember when you said, and I had a bag of tricks that I knew I could do this to get rid of it? Well, once someone is entitled, let's go back to that, because you know that clear as day in your mind, right? You've identified it. You're seeing it clearly. You're calling yourself out on the entitlement. So what we need to do is back up the feelings, right? Because prior to the entitlement is I shouldn't eat that. I shouldn't be doing that. There is a sense of boundary that you are wanting to cross, and it could be the hunger scale that you're using as a boundary. This is where the hunger scale can become a diet, right? Okay. So the entitlement to food is, in essence, a negotiation for food. I'm negotiating for food. Mm-hmm. I am sitting there going, I deserve that food. And what are you negotiating with? Would you agree it is some form of restriction? It is some form of restriction. And it could be restriction relative to an external life expectation, right? Like that is the victim martyr position. So something happens where you feel like unfairly treated, like a circumstance isn't happening the way you thought. It also could come from being asked to do something you feel insecure to do. Like, I don't know if I can do that. Being burdened by something you don't want to do.
You mean outside of you mean just like external things
in life?
No, this is nothing. This is not that. This is something
good.
This is something in there where I think I may what and I could be totally wrong, but I remember we went through this whole thing and you're like, you have no sorry, hold on. I'm having like an indigestion attack right now. It's something like when you said you can eat whatever you want. You You don't have to remember. I called you and I'm like, I need a plan. I need to know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you just relax and do what you.
That was like one of our first sessions that you were like,
Yeah.
I need you to tell me exactly what to
the
do.
next morning, I didn't know what to do with myself. If I didn't have a plan, I had no clue how the hell I was even going to survive that next day.
Yeah, well, that's because you were deathly afraid of weight gain, right? So that fear and the need for control has everything to do with feeling out of control with the body image. So is it feeling similar to that?
No. So I'm just saying, I think it gave me license just to be completely careless with what I ate. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I see that commonly. That's not uncommon for people who have been restricted for so long for you to want complete and total freedom. However, the more you...
Here's the part where I think this is where this comes from. Is that I say, so I received immense relief immediately. And then I actually didn't feel hungry for days. I didn't feel any hunger at all. Like, I would have to remind myself to eat because I was completely unburdened with anything thoughts of food.
Okay, pause for a second. And in that, because you had total and complete freedom, you didn't need to negotiate for anything. So it becomes available. It's available to you, like living in this massive castle with food abundant from all over the world and 50 chefs that we visualize, right? And so food becomes really unimportant, and it doesn't make sense anymore to eat it out of boredom or stress or it's an amazing feeling because it's always there. So you don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So for some reason you're saying that's gone and now you're thinking about it.
Yep.
And the anxiety.
No, okay. So but the piece of it is that I said to myself, wow, I am completely free of this burden. I'm elated. And do you know what? If I keep doing this, guess what's going to happen? If this keeps going on, what's naturally going to happen to me? I'm going to lose weight.
Oh, well, yeah. Yes. And we've talked about that. Talked about if you lose weight, the expectation or even hope for that is going to your whole brain has to start fixating on it again.
Yeah. So that's what's happened. I'm pretty certain.
Okay. So what that means is that...
I think it's snuck in. I think it snuck in there.
Well, it tells me that you were only temporarily giving yourself relief. So, and I know, and I expect that. I mean, there's so many different varieties of how people recover. And when they relapse, to me, that's like, oh, they didn't really recover. Because when someone really recovers, like fully and completely, there is no fantasy attached to thinness. At all. Like, it is so clear as day to them that if they even want thinness, if they get delight in thinness, if they enjoy thinness, that they are screwed. And so someone who is fully and completely recovered, we're talking 100%, not 99%, not 98%, not whatever percent recovered you are.
Yeah.
That 1 or 2% non-recovery defines your recovery. Right? And so you're really not recovered because you're still dealing with agitation, irritability, feeling ugly, wanting to prevent weight gain. And not only that, but that lack of recovery is ultimately the fact that you still believe and still want to be thinner. It's the wanting of the thinnerness that makes you susceptible to this. So that's what that tells me. That deep down you really want to be thinner. That means it's not even about the thinnerness.
Conceptually, I admit it. Totally admit it.
Well, you should.
But internally, like, I'm listening, and I'm like, absolutely not. Today, the one where the woman's getting married, and she's 60 pounds over, that one resonates with me so much because I think in that moment when I couldn't breathe in my throat and I realized that everything I was doing was for the image of other people who didn't even give a shit anyway. Like, didn't even care. I don't want it. I really don't want it. I just don't understand how it's still there.
Because you do want it. You're using the problem here is that you may have confused caring about other people's opinion about it as the idea that I don't care what anybody else thinks. that means I'm recovered. Well, no, it doesn't, because actually when someone has this, they're more concerned about their own beliefs about it. You're holding yourself hostage. No one outside of you is holding you hostage. So maybe part of your recovery was that you needed to do this for others for their approval, and you let that go, which was a massive relief for you. But in the end, you still have a wanting for being thinner than you are. And that wanting, I want you to feel it. There's a feeling of wantingness that still is there. What that tells me is that you still believe the mirage is attainable. The mirage is the symbolism of the thinness, that thinness will bring your life so much betterment. So there is
I
okay, good. So feel that and recognize the other part of this process is I had never, at this point, I'm very confident in saying I am fully fucking recovered. I will never relapse. I would, to this day, sign a contract that I'm willing to be 500 pounds. Like, it is so clear to me that suffering, and I would rather die. That's why I was willing to commit suicide than to go back there. And I still feel that way.
Yes.
Right? So at this point, I'm done. I did it. It's been 19 years for me. So when someone comes out of this and they get such massive relief, first of all, it is mind blowing, because when you're inside this insanity, the binge eating, it feels like there's no power. You're powerless. It controls you. You don't know what's going on. It's extremely disorienting, and no one's questioning your desire to be thinner, which makes it even more confusing, because you're just, I need to control my food, and you're not connecting the dots, right? And so for you to come to me with such incredible degrees of like desperate need for help, and for you to have almost instantaneous relief was a miracle. It feels like it is, I did it, woohoo, right? Yeah. And you didn't have it. It was like you went out and then you went right back in within like a day or two, right? You would talk to me, you'd feel it, and then immediately you'd go back in, right? And then you had your moment where it was like, I don't want this, and you let it go. But I guarantee, and here's the thing, as much as I can forewarn you, be like, look, you're going to have to be okay. If you lose weight, I swear to God, you probably heard me say it, but didn't quite emotionally get it. You intellectually heard it and went, oh yeah. But if you have any attachment to that mirage, let me shut this door. If you have any attachment to that mirage in any way, you absolutely guarantee a relapse, because you may have said, I am willing to be fatter, I'm willing to stay the same. But the moment you start losing weight and get excited about it, it is instantaneous. You're going back down into that agitation, irritability, entitlement, all those food issues. It's almost like they immediately come back. I kind of knew when we were talking before around the exercise, something might be up. And that may have been separate from this, but I kind of thought,
well, maybe it's from the exercise, because it started.
No. So you cannot blame, no. It came from your wanting of thinness, period. And then it transitions, and then it kind of like permeates a way to manipulate the environment. So again, it's not the exercise that made you this way. You were feeling this, and you probably tried to manipulate exercise and then convince yourself, no, I'm totally good. And you're in a form of, I know. So stuff like this has to happen for you to really understand this, right? Again,
no, and I really, for me, like, this is, I don't look at this as I don't even feel like I'm not in recovery. I actually feel like shit needs to come up. Well, I mean, if you don't know where you're at, I mean, why do you put people back on the protocol? Because
for this reason.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And honestly, I mean, I would be scared to death for the reason to lose weight, because to go on it. But like when we talked about it with my high blood, with the blood pressure and this and that, I think all of these things, I'm a firm believer that things, that things happen and they're in your face for a reason. And I the reasons why I always chose, to escape in my diet, or, that was the one thing that I had, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now, it's the last thing that I want. I'm telling you right now, the banter and the irritability that I'm having is because I'm telling that fucking bitch to go away. I'm telling her to go the fuck away.
Yeah.
Because
well,
I'm going down that road.
You have to actually tell the thinness that you don't want it. As soon
That's
as you...
exactly. I heard that today. You said you have to reject the thinness. And
yeah. You can connect with that now. Oh my God, I really have to let this go forever. I can't hold on to it, hope for it.
Simplest words, Robin. Sometimes you're not ready to hear certain words. Like you said, early on, you said you really need to get into this feeling. Well, I'm like, okay, I'll get into the feeling by thinking about the feeling.
No.
But really, no, you have to get in there, where you're about to vomit your insides out because you're stuck and you can't get out. And
but we have to stay there willingly. It's not like I'm being forced to be in here. It's no. You have to willingly decide. I'm choosing because I want freedom from this suffering.
Yeah,
this is the price I need to pay, and I'm willing to pay it, even if it is torture on the inside. And I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to feel bad for myself, right? Which that's a hard place to be. You've been there. Oh, I haven't been this terrible. My life is over. I'm never going to go out again.
Yeah.
I have to wear this one piece. Right?
Yeah. No, I'm like, from that respect, I'm over it. I put clothes on. I don't even focus on, oh God, these clothes don't, I don't do any of that anymore. I look in the mirror, I see who I see, I look at these rashes, I see these rashes, and pretty much I'm just, I'm not even admiring, myself anymore. Oh, if I did this, or body checking, or, oh God, look at that fat stomach. I don't do any of that. What's bothering me is the stuff coming up, and so, obviously that's why I'm sharing it with you, but I think, instead of going back the other direction, I know the door's closed, I just feel like it's a sneaky little fucker.
Well, it will be until you permanently say, I will never again use body image in any way at all.
Yeah.
To feel safe, to feel valued, and
superior, to feel better,
to feel healthy. Because healthy is symbolic too of safety.
Okay, so can we talk about that then?
Yeah.
This is all prevalent for me currently in the very moment. I go to the doctor every year, to have a pap smear and a mammogram.
Yeah.
So this is the first year that I've ever gone to the doctor where they're like, oh, you're pre-this, you're this, and you're that. And I've already told you what all those things were.
Yeah. And remember my response to you?
Yeah, and I got that. So
you didn't tell them that you just recovered from a horrendous obsessive compulsive binge eating bulimic disorder around thin supremacy. You were narcissistic, you were self-righteous, you had all this extremism in your life. You never tell them that. You just see the end result. And it's chronic. It's not just now, right? Anyways, so it's so easy to become go back into, oh my God, I have a health problem, not looking at why it was there. Which is totally connected to the eating disorder and all the crazy train that went with it. You just recovered, literally, months ago. So and this type of fear mongering, which is what they need to do when you go, no, you got high blood pressure. Well, that's associated with this and this and this, and you understand context, right? You understand the background of that information. That's just numbers. There's a story behind those numbers.
There's a reason I've literally been to the doctor 4 times in the last. Aside from the pap smear and we go to, if we have anything wrong, I go see an herbalist to prevent stuff. I don't go to a doctor to tell.
Hey, I think both of them are detrimental. So don't think that one was better than the other when you just compared the two.
Well, I'm just saying that I don't like.
Just make
I don't
sure.
Well.
No, you need to hear what I just said, and you need to go, holy shit, what did I just say? Did I just compare my herbalist is greater than? I mean, you have to see the duality in your even thought around that. That's healthier. It's relative. That makes sense? That's why I said both of it's detrimental if you're using it with a frame of thinking that you're using it. Right? So you become...
I'm thinking of more from a standpoint of like taking care of things when they're not wrong. Is all.
Well, preventative.
Like I'm not.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong preventative you just need to look at it from a large perspective, not just a one-sided perspective around what prevention is. So so with that said, if you're really thinking about it from a preventative point of view, can you afford to even go back into thinking about healthiness in relation to your body? Just go into that bias. And how you've been conditioned to believe and think. But by that industry, which is making a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm giving it so much. I think because it's the first time ever that I've been labeled with shit.
Oh my God, but do you really need someone to label you with that shit? I mean, if I could sit down and say, let me just tell you her history, they would go, oh my God. Right? Like, oh, I'm so glad. We should just give her time in recovery. Right? Again, this is the crazy thing. No one tells the doctors the truth. Nobody. I've never been an anorexic, bulimic, binge eater, an orthorexic that actually tells the doctor the actual truth of why they're sitting there with these issues, ever. And so it just enables these doctors to just think, by the way, again, they're thinking she has lack of control, she's uneducated, she's lazy, there's all the assumptions that are made by these people. Because someone like you isn't saying, hey, I need to be really honest with you. This isn't in my health history form.
I did tell them.
But I just spent the last 3 months, binging my brains out.
Gaining 20 pounds because I ate everything.
The weight gain is actually a sign of health. The weight gain is healthy. Under that circumstance, your body did exactly what it's supposed to do. It's crazy to label it as unhealthy. The body is doing biologically exactly what it is supposed to do. Why are we labeling that? So that's what I meant by you had your brainwashed. You went right back into the diet bullshit context way of thinking about it, which is always blame the fat. Like the fat's killing you. Really? It was the binging that was unnatural. It's the binging, which is a consequence of your thin supremacy narcissism. And maybe that's where the unhealth is. But to look at the body and its fat gain and to say the fat is bad, actually, biologically, it's doing what it's been wired to do for millions of fucking years through evolution under that environment. It is doing exactly what it's supposed to. Fat gain is not a flaw.
Yeah.
You hear it?
No, I hear you. I absolutely hear you.
So it's not the fat that's the problem. It was the months and actually years of on and off binging and starving and binging and starving, binging and starving. And don't forget the yoga that you did the way you did it. How hard do you think that was for your health when you do it like that with that mentality? The adrenals, just think about the fatigue.
Luckily, it was not maintainable.
Well, of course it's not maintainable, but unless you live in a human environment and you have no job, no kids, no life, free time, and even then, it's like, why would you spend that much time fixating on your body? Anyways. So yeah, I mean, so it's not just thin supremacy you're going to have to surrender. It's the healthy, righteous type of thinking too. To be able to say, no one really knows what they're doing. Nobody, including me. I don't really know what I'm doing other than I can see from this point of view that what you're doing has outcomes and you're blaming the outcome is why you're unhealthy. The outcome is actually the consequence of the unhealthy way of thinking that creates an unhealthy behavioral pattern that creates an unhealthy response over a chronic period of time. Anyways.
So just from a picture of, so you kind of go through this, the complete and full abandonment of and rejection of sin supremacy, and you release that, and it's completely gone, as I did. And then I see why it came back. I see it.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you really didn't. That's really important. You said, because I did. And I'm sitting here on the other side going, she thinks she did. You didn't. You still held on to the hope or the desire, or you really held on to the, I want it. I just have to deny it. There was a wanting of thinnerness. That has to be there for this to happen.
Gotcha. All right, so I just need to focus on completely letting go.
Oh, yeah. That even if you do lose weight, this is, can you see why you would want this experience prior to going on the HCG protocol? Like, having to go through these things are really important.
Just having the words and you said it to that woman, the woman getting, in the dress. Mm-hmm. You have to reject. And then, I'm sitting there in an image of myself in the mirror, laughing at the relief that feels again. The relief that feels. So I felt like I've gone through a lot. I had to abandon that identity, that fucking asshole that I identified with, and and kind of had to, and not mourn that piece of shit person, but like laugh at that person. I've been laughing at that person for weeks, like in all of these standards and these critical moments of, like where I would have been critical before, and now I just have like complete and empathy for people, and and looking people in the eyes, seeing their marks and their faces, and seeing them, really seeing people. Like I wasn't doing that before because I was so focused on other stuff, like with my standards. And I feel like those, like I felt I guess I felt a disconnection, like between the two things. Like I guess now I'm seeing this as a huge part of it, whereas before I was really identifying with that person that I was and needing to let that go. And then I guess maybe I was just so focused on that I stopped thinking, that I wasn't really focused on the other piece of it.
Well, you may have
figure out what happened.
Well, again, if we just simplify it, I can see how you would be like, that persona you rejected, but somewhere in your heart, you really want to be thinner. You do. You want healthier, right? There's a wanting of it. And that wanting of it is why, if you experience the loss or the fat loss, that you would get gratification out of it. Like there's something positive happening. If you want it, that's what it feels like. If you don't care, however, you will keep yourself separated from it to where you're like, it's none of my flipping business. And at all times, I would be willing to regain weight.
You'd be really what?
Regain weight at all times. So even if you lose weight, I experienced some pretty significant weight loss after pregnancy. I breastfed all three of my children. And, when I was in the thick of the insanity of managing my weight, prior, still in college with my issues, right? The lowest I ever got was like 146, 147. And so, I would micromanage 146.27, 1.6, and, like nutso. And so after recovery, my body stabilized around 155, 162, 158, 155, 162, anywhere around there, especially since I was still a college athlete after recovery. And then I got pregnant. My body weight went up. And then after pregnancy with Chloe, just naturally, my whole body went down to 145. Right? If I got any gratification with that, I would have relapsed. But the reality is that at all times, I'm willing to regain the weight because I will never again care about it, monitor it that way. I mean, you can observe your clothes. Like, I could tell. I was like, these have never been baggy on me. I put clothes on when I was in college. I was like, why are these baggy? I was like, am I going crazy? So I weighed myself, and it was like, no way. How bizarre. It was bizarre to me, right? But then again, to me, it was like, I don't even care. Why? If I care about this, that means that the contract I gave to the body that it could be 500 pounds is null and void, which means I got to go back in that cage to make sure I stay 145, 146. It's amazing. I'm so happy. You see what I mean? And I think my suffering was so bad that to me, it was like, to me, it's bizarre how the body's endocrine system worked post-pregnancy. And each time I got pregnant, I regained weight. I got the heaviest with my daughter, my third child. Don't give a shit. Never expected to lose any of it. I'm now at this point, my weight is right around 155, 153, 160, 147. You know, it's all over the freaking place. But wouldn't you rather not care?
Absolutely.
So you don't have to care. It's not your business. So if the body naturally on its own, because you're eating to hunger and you're not managing anything anymore. If the body manages itself to lose that weight because you're no longer inflicting all the crazy train on it, then good for the body.
Yeah.
It doesn't need that weight. You created it. So allowing it freedom to do whatever it needs to do, it's none of your business. Keep it out of your business. If it becomes your business, if your blood pressure becomes your business, what are you going to do about it?
Nothing.
Well, no. Answer the question as I asked it. If it becomes your business, now guess what happens?
So if it becomes my business and I have to do something about it?
Yeah.
Then
now you have to think about it. Now you need to monitor it. Now you need to do all that research. Now, oh my God, I got to read this and that. Oh my God, do I take the medication? No, I should try this herb. And then now you got to focus on it. And at this point in this process, I'm not surprised at the outcome of the months of binging that you did. To me, that was healthy. The body did what it needed to do to keep you alive. It did it. Why sit here and be angry and pissed off about, oh my God, I can't believe my blood pressure is high. I need to do something about it, right? It's like, look at what you did. And to make it your business then puts you in a position to now have to think you know what to do about it. When we can both sit here and go, we know exactly how this happened. You just need to do nothing about it. Doing something about it is like going back into that cage. Give your body a chance. And so you just have to stay completely detached from how the body's managing itself. Focus in, and this is why we talk with the exercise about focus in on what you can do long term, forever. That's easy. That doesn't require any pressure, so that if you stop, or you get into a busy season where you don't have time, that it's not that big of a deal. You don't have withdrawals. You don't have hardship emotionally. You don't want to emotionally attach to something that needs to be lenient. So, being able to be dynamic with your exercise, like today, I got to do some yoga today, which was good for my back. I took the dogs for a walk. Those are all things I would do no matter what weight I am, right? Some days I will weight lift. I haven't done it for a long time because of my back, but I don't do that because I'm looking for some outcome in terms of what people think in how my body performs. I'm not even expecting a certain performance from the body. I'm just going in to say, how many pull-ups can I do? And I'm going to do them, and I'm happy with whatever the number is, because the number doesn't matter to me. It just feels good in my body to ask it to do something, and then that it does it, and I'll accept it. If I couldn't do one pull-up, I would be okay with that too. Pull-ups don't make or break your life. You know what I mean? So that separation from it all. And so if you have an expected outcome, that means that you are now managing it, and you are now
attachment.
Yeah, and now you get to suffer.
Yeah, and it just snuck up on me. Honestly, I've been like,
well, you know, this is good. It really forces you to open your mind and go, why was I sensitive to this? What am I still holding on to? What am I still believing? What are the beliefs inside of this process that make me susceptible to this? You know? And so I know for me, I had to really surrender all of it. All of it. Even though at the time I was still getting a degree in exercise science and physiology. It was like everything I'm learning, there's a bazillion different more things I don't know yet. Even as a trainer in the gym, it was still this ongoing process of teaching myself and opening myself up to the process of, you know, functional training and all this other stuff. And so I think it's when you have the ego, there was an ego in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And it could have been, I'm going to dominate my body. It's time for me to take control. It may not have been about thinness, but clearly, if you lost weight, it certainly did. If you got gratification over it. If your body lost weight and it didn't create the, and you were like, I don't even care. Because if I stop this, because of what I might not be able to do this in the future. I might regain the weight. I'm cool with that. I don't care. If the weight loss is specifically attached to what I'm doing, I don't care. I would rather gain the weight back. I don't know if that is.
Yeah. No, it totally makes sense. It's you know, I've everything that you're saying. I mean, for me, it's just keeping it really simple.
Another word is saying I'm not willing to continue to do this just to keep the weight off. Right? So I will do it as it's easy for me and it's realistic for my life right now. But if it's not realistic, I'm not willing to keep on doing this just to maintain the weight loss that's occurring.
Yeah. So, okay. So, like, just to keep, like, this in, like, I'm just, okay. So, as the need for thinness is gone, then the need for negotiating and, you know, obsessing with food is gone. I've already seen how that works.
Yeah.
It completely works 100%.
I know.
But then moving forward, how do people transition from a place where they're, you know, eating their, you know, carte blanche, just eat what you want when you want to, and then having that discussion about the hunger scale.
Okay, so the hunger scale, I suggest immediately. Eating outside of the hunger scale is a sign you're using food as an entitlement and you're negotiating for it.
Okay.
So that's something that needs to happen instantly. Does it happen instantly for everybody? No. But the effort, what I said was eating to hunger is something that needs to be done instantly with this process because it keeps you out of control. It keeps you out of having to control that, which is part of recovery. Isn't that what we want? I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
So the body will tell me I will do what it says. If you're eating without hunger, you're not letting the body dictate it. You're still controlling this. Right? So what I had said was the idea is that you immediately give body control and you follow hunger rhythms. Does that happen immediately with everybody? No, and it's understandable why, especially when you look at the history of binging and starving and all the bullshit people have submitted themselves to. But at some point, you have to really let go of control with your food. You get the benefit of choice. You no longer have to micromanage what you're eating. You can enjoy the food without feeling shame and guilt. You're listening to the body's response to that food. And so as soon as the body says, yeah, I'm done, that's enough of that food, you've got to stop, right? So if I choose to eat a donut, if I start to feel like, oh, that's too much, I'm just going to stop. Even if I'm like, oh, that was so good, and I spent $5 on that amazing donut, I don't get to choose. I don't get that choice. And I'm okay with that. The freedom of giving up that power over choice in terms of when and how much food is freedom from worrying, freedom from feeling physically like shit, and so the responsibility part of actually listening to the body and allowing the body tell you when and how much you should eat, because you can choose what sounds good to you. That is a choice you get to make in the moment. Sometimes those choices are what the body's telling you to eat because it sounds good to you. The body's having a craving for that food. And other times, you're eating, at a function that's catered and the food is brought to you and you didn't have a choice. The ability to adapt and to work. And sometimes you get a menu and you get to choose what sounds good on the menu. It's not black and white. But eating to hunger is something that you have to be willing to, it's a cost of recovery. It's like, I remember when I came out of this, I remember actually having a moment of sadness because I wasn't going to binge anymore. It was like, oh, that incredible euphoria of craziness is gone because it was kind of fun. It was fun relative to how shitty my life was, but there was a moment of I'm done. I'm not going to do that anymore. It's kind of like, again, having a horribly dysfunctional marriage that's abusive. And then the moment you have great sex, it's like, oh, I'm never going to have that great sex again. Nope, not with that person. And I'm willing to not have that great sex because it comes with a shit ton of baggage. Make sense?
Yeah.
And so part of this process is that when you're not hungry, you have to question. This is where Weight Loss Apocalypse comes in, the first version.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're not hungry, you need to question why the hell you're entitling yourself to this food. And it probably comes from the victim position in your life and the idea that you deserve to eat. Some people, it's not that at all. Some people, they're just so afraid of feeling deprived because that feeling of deprivation is such a massive trigger to a binge and has been. They almost have PTSD around feeling deprived that they just eat because they're afraid if they don't, it will feel depriving. And that would feel like restrictive. Again, it's kind of like having post-traumatic stress around deprivation. So when it comes in, you'd rather just eat something because it prevents a massive binge. Right? Which is still it's still an improvement, correct. But at some point you have to be willing to recognize food is forever abundant if we are fortunate to keep this first world environment. Right? It is forever abundant. You can go get what the hell you want, whenever you want it, at all times, when you're hungry. Right? So being able to say, someone had asked me the other day, it's like, do you ever want ice cream?
I just got something. Oh my God. So, okay, go ahead. Sorry. And
someone had asked me in this line of conversation, well, do you ever want ice cream? And I'm like, well, yeah. And when I do want ice cream, I get really excited for when I'm hungry. Because I'm like, oh my God, ice cream sounds so good. Oh my God, I'm really excited. And so when I'm hungry, I'll go get a peanut butter parfait from Dairy Queen. If that's what sounds good to me. I really love fudge and nuts on soft serve ice cream. I don't know what it is. That I used to get that when I was pregnant. I don't know. I have random moments with a peanut butter parfait. And I don't necessarily eat the whole thing. I don't even know how much I'm going to eat. Sometimes if I want dessert and there's something like one of my moms, she makes an amazing raspberry pie recipe that if I make it or like Thanksgiving or whatever, there's something special and I know I'm going to want to taste it, I will eat dinner and I won't eat quite enough. I'll leave hunger so that I can fit in the dessert. Right? You've got to start taking some degree of ownership around the fact that you have freedom within the boundaries of hunger, but outside of that hunger rhythm, you have to be honest with yourself about why you're doing it and what's the payoff, because you're harming the body. You are actually putting the body in a position to have it like more inflammation than it needs. Because you're choosing to eat something in a moment because you don't want to feel bored. I don't want to feel restricted. I don't want to feel left out. Those feelings or the emotional immaturity that needs to mature. Right? That's what I talked about in Weight Loss Apocalypse. You're there now, right? It took us all of this work to get you to this point, right? Which is, why are you having, and clearly this relationship you've had with food is a byproduct of all of the years often on dieting.
Mm-hmm.
People who don't diet they haven't been conditioned to have to negotiate for food. It's like, why wouldn't you just eat a Tootsie Roll? What's wrong with a Tootsie Roll?
Yeah.
They don't go,
you know,
do you know what's in that Tootsie Roll? It is so bad for you. They don't have that type of like fear-mongering built into their reasoning around, why don't you just eat a burger? Like they don't understand why someone would eliminate a burger. It sounds crazy to them.
The best.
But at the same time, they also don't understand, why is someone eating 3 burgers? They don't understand why, which you and I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, if you're deprived and you're not allowed to eat those and you feel morally wrong to eat them, then when you do eat it, you feel like you've ruined it so much that you might as well eat 3. Especially if you're going to use a diuretic and shit your pants afterwards, or just puke it up, or you're going to go exercise for 3 hours.
Yes.
Whatever your bulimic purge of choice is, it would make sense then that you would need to eat 3, especially because before you ate it, you told yourself that you would never eat it again. Right? All of that insanity that goes around this. So now there is this stable point in the center where you don't have all that pressure, you don't have all the restriction anymore. And now we've given you taken the shackles from dieting and shaming the food from you too, so you're free from that. And so now you need to really think about how do you want to relate to food if you no longer, number one, are going to diet again. So whatever physical problem that the excessive eating that you're doing is causing is permanent.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to diet again. So you have to question if whatever reason you're using is worth it.
I'm totally clear on that.
Good. So there is it's like that natural middle ground that has boundaries. It's gray. It's not black and white boundary. There's gray to it. But you have to start really looking at, if I'm not hungry, I need to think before I make a choice why food is the option. Because if hunger isn't the issue, food shouldn't be the option.
Yeah.
Does that mean that if you want to if a friend is making some food and she's like, here, taste this, that you should go, nope, I'm not hungry, no,
right.
I'm not going to taste it. No, just have a flippin' taste. It's not like you're eating a meal. That's different than, and again, we're talking off protocol. That's different than, I'm bored at home and I really want candy.
Mm-hmm.
I deserve a Twizzlers. I deserve the whole pack of Twizzlers. I'm really sick, and I don't know why Robin tells me I should have freedom to eat. I'm getting sick on this. Do you hear where's the lack of responsibility on the boundaries?
Yeah.
Or why are you eating those Twizzlers? You can have those Twizzlers when you're hungry. Why are you having a hard time waiting? If waiting causes you to feel victimized, you need to check yourself right there. Because that sounds like you're having a personal, self-righteous problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I just rambled on and on and on. Did you make some connections?
Yeah, no, I totally did. And the other thing that I just made a connection with is that before, when I was exercising, I was always eating clean, like clean diet, clean regimen. And I think that, I've been enjoying the endorphins, and I've been doing like these little challenges, like with the computerized thing that you set up, like a 30-day challenge, and it just comes up with its own little program, and I do them, and they're fun, and you just get to look at where you're going and all this stuff on the screen.
Yeah.
So I've been enjoying that. Then
you don't think that has anything to do with this relapse?
I think it does.
I do too. I'm listening to you going, yeah, sounds like someone's in control now. 30-day challenge. I'm surprised you didn't even hear that and go, hell no, I would rather not.
I didn't even think of it like that. I just, and I'll tell you quite honestly why I did that was because I don't know how to use the machine, and it just picks something for you. Like, I don't have to do anything.
Okay.
And I liked that I didn't have to fucking pick. Like, the first few days I'm on it, well, wait, do I do calories? Do I do high intensity? Do I do train? Because after you want to train, do you want to lose weight? Do you want heart rate?
Okay, so what do you think the answer is? I mean, all of what you just said sounds terrible to me.
I just want to
manual, time. It doesn't freaking matter. None of it matters, right? So you can choose whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, and that's why I picked something that had nothing to do with me picking it. Like just something.
Random.
And but my point about it is that I just realized that I'm getting off that treadmill and I'm starting my day. I feel good. I feel great. Like, I've probably done it 6 times in the last two weeks since I started doing it. I actually feel good. I feel energetic, like I have a jump in my step. And so for me, that's all I've been focusing on is that it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I have a little energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think that maybe I've been conflicted about not eating unhealthy things because I'm exercising.
Okay, that tells me the context of why you're exercising. That's why you would make those connections. The you need to look at why you're doing this exercise, because it's not the exercise, it's the reason why, and that's why you're having a conflict around the clean eating. So it isn't the exercise, it's the actual. So this is why I'm like, you need to go in, because it happened prior to you even starting. That's why. Did you hear me? Yeah. You were wanting this physical, and no wonder you would have this, like, of course exercise is somewhat energizing, but what you're describing to me is a little euphoria. So that's not okay. I know. It's kind of hard to hear that, right? Because exercise is naturally good for the body, but you're describing something that's a little beyond that. And not only that, but the other thing, and you need to feel that and go, she's right. Oh my God, I am starting to feel like better about myself. It's attaching to the self. That's the ego. Okay. It's not just feeling good. It's feeling better about me. I feel better about myself. That's got to be in there. And that's probably why you're having the clean eating part. That, first of all, puke. The word clean eating is so disgusting. It's super.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's like,
I know, but you connected those two for a reason. You connect those two for a reason, and it's because of the body image that you're wanting from it. The wanting of the body image has got to be in the reasoning behind the exercise. That's the problem. It's not the exercise. It's not the fact that you're enjoying it. That's not a problem. But the wanting that I will feel better about myself, the attachment to the self and the wanting of this it's connecting to some degree of need on the outcome end, to where you would connect the two to clean eating. This is good for you to suffer. I say that here on the outside, really, like, good, I hope you've suffered.
To figure out where the hell it came from.
Well, shouldn't be that hard if you just tell the truth to yourself around what you really wanted from this exercise and why that would make sense. Why you would go, well, I need to do this cleaner.
It just popped in my, when we were talking about things, and I was saying, so when I was actually looking at it, I actually was thinking about, like, I thought about a judgment that I would make if I eat something like Chili's yesterday, or, and then I thought about it like the choice, and whereas before I just ate whatever I wanted. I didn't even think about it. I wasn't negotiating. I just ate what I wanted because I didn't have to, I didn't have to negotiate it because I could eat what I wanted. So that's it. It's exactly it. So that puts me back at, like, I'm just trying to move my body around and stuff. So what the fuck am I supposed to do?
That's it. You do what is fun for you. But why would you attach it to food? What does that have to do with each other?
But I didn't mean to.
I know that.
I'm telling you that this is all. It's like I'm not wanting it to be that way.
Okay, so what do you need to do? Is you have to want it to be separated. That's why I'm saying this.
I want to do it because I like it, and I'm not doing it for any other reason.
You're not doing it for body image, which is the only reason why you attached it to the food.
Yeah.
And it's health image too. Remember, it's not just thin supremacy. It's this concept of healthy thinness.
That's actually more accurate.
Okay, it doesn't. So tell yourself the truth. When you did this, you had some. It is super self. There is a self-centerednism to it. That is, you can't just exercise. You have to clean it all. So you're manipulating the environment to try to get some illusion of grandeur. To me, it's freaking obvious. It needs to be obvious to you. No, it's not happening to you. You're the one who's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to, it takes stuff like this for you to go, oh my God, I really do have to surrender all of it. I cannot, if I truly want freedom, I cannot even hold on to any of this shit. Because this is what happens. And notice how quickly.
This is why I was afraid of doing yoga. That's why I was afraid.
Yeah, I knew that. And we talked about how I would try to explain what it should feel like. This is how you have to maintain this. You have to stay in this position. It has nothing to do with the body. It has, and and now you can see that. Like, oh, she's right. Like, I literally cannot attach any fantasy to it. It has to be gratifying while I do it, and that's where the gratification stops.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not going to permeate into other things. And when I ask the question, why does your relationship with food have anything to do with your relationship with exercise? They're completely separate entities, different biologically. If you combine those two, you've been brainwashed by the fitness and diet industry to even think that they're combined.
Well, I don't think they're combined, but I think my actions in the past have always been work out, eat clean.
Yeah, because you're on the band. You're back on track. Yeah. You're back on track, doing what's right, being in control, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And you're have totally the same feeling. This is what I'm trying to tell you. The feeling existed before you even started this exercise routine. For this to relapse, it didn't happen after. It happened inside the context of you creating this process. And it could have been health. I want to be healthy. And in that feeling and feel good about myself. I'll feel so good about myself. I'll feel so much pure. And when I go back, and the people will be proud of me, and I'll be thinner and better. And it may not have been thinner, but there was a thinnerness to it. Right? You can go in there and open it up, and it's going to be like, I didn't want to have this. I thought I could hold on to this and it would work out. I thought I could hold on to that and that things would still work out. And when I say every single ounce of hope has to be surrendered to, any type of body image attachment, you have to surrender. And it's because it's been so extreme for you. I mean, and there are people out there who can hold on to some body image issues and they don't have the same extreme reaction because they are more lenient and they don't have the same narcissistic draw to it, and they don't have the same, so they might be like, yeah, I exercise because it makes my arms feel good, but they're not going, and I'm better because of it. That's why I said to you, the main issue is for this to reoccur, there has to be a sense of, it has to be selfish.
Yeah.
It's clearly not the same degree. So now you're realizing it's not just the extremes of self-righteousness and body image. It can be as simple as, I want to feel better about myself, because now it's about you. And now it's about the idea of fitness. And the idea of fitness, at least the one that you believe in, comes with, you better work on your food too. Because, if you do the exercise, you're ruining it with your food. What are you ruining?
Because I'm all in, honey. I'm all in.
So why don't we try?
All in.
Why don't you
be all out.
Completely? Well, no, because that's what I'm trying to teach you is like, you don't need to be all out. Why can't you just do the exercise alone? Just do exercise and keep the food bullshit out of this process.
Out of it, yeah.
Eating to hunger should have nothing to do with your exercise and how you choose to do it for pleasure.
Yeah, I'm going to work on it.
Good.
It's good awareness for me. I'm going to work on it.
And the other thing.
the idea was nice. Oh, you've got high blood pressure. Oh, you know what? A little walking on the treadmill will probably relieve some stress. That's what started this fucking thing. Mm-mm. That's what started this.
Yeah, and you realize, and I tried to explain this to you, that blood pressure, you know how it happened.
Yeah.
So you just re-engaged in how it was caused.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see it now? Not as extreme, but it's still the same engagement. And you can see how this, I've been feeling really irritable. That's kind of how it felt before, didn't it? Agitated, cranky, and you're pissed off and you're eating food. You're like, why am I doing this? And then you feel like shit about yourself. Physically, you're starting to feel like shit because you're over-consuming, feeling bad about yourself for over-consuming. Yeah, just goes. And then the idea of I need to work out to relieve stress so I can reduce my blood pressure. You don't see how self, without looking at the actual, that big picture of the outcome. Honest to God, if we were here right now, if you had this knowledge that you just now gained, okay, we could go back to the moment you went to the doctor. What would you tell yourself, knowing what you know now, a month later?
That I'm not going to listen to anything they say.
Don't worry about it. Your body just went through hell.
Yeah.
And it is now on the side of recovery. The last thing you need to do is go back into hell thinking it's going to fix it.
Yeah.
Even if it's for 25% terribleness. Like, Dante's Inferno is like, however many levels. Do you want to go back in at any level?
No. No, and because it can't just be one toe in. It's all in. And
that's the shitty part. That's why I'm like, if you hope, if you hope for the body to be better, that hope comes from a self-centered area.
Yeah.
Right? So let me use myself as an example. When I was moving within the last 6 years, I moved 5 times. And thank God I haven't moved in about a year and a half now. But I went to the doctor. We'd gotten insurance, and I was like, I'm going to the doctor just to get a checkup. And got all of the blood work done, and they were like, holy shit, you need to come back in. There's something wrong. And I didn't go back in. Why do you think?
Because you don't want to know what's going on.
Well, there was that. But I also knew that I was under an incredible amount of stress. Like humongous amounts of stress with the moving and how often I had moved in such a short period of time. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to give my body a few months to just come down, whatever it is. My blood work was off, and they wanted me to come back in. There was no phone call. It was like a postcard they sent. Your blood work was off. We need you to come back in. So it's not like they called me and said, we think you have cancer or, no, it was just, and so I just thought, if I go back in, they're going to give me whatever it says, and then they're going to tell me to get on some medication, or they're going to want me to go through whatever it is they want me to go through. And it's not fair to the body to not give it a chance to come off of all of what I just went through. So I went back to the doctor a year later and said, my last blood work came back abnormal. I did not come back in. And because I knew I was under an insane degree of stress that I was coming off of, let's get my new blood work. Let's do it again. And so they were like, oh, okay. So we got blood work. And I came back in for a follow-up, I think 3 weeks later or something. And they were like, okay, so your blood work when you came in a year ago, you were like type 1 diabetic. Your A1Cs were off the roof, like incredibly high. Like not just borderline, like major issue. And first of all, I'm the same weight I was back then. I eat exactly the same, eating to hunger. Nothing has changed in my lifestyle whatsoever at all. I just I moved 5 times in 5 years, and 2 of which were across the country. 3, actually. 3 moves of those 5 were from Boise to Minneapolis, from Minneapolis to Alabama, from Alabama to Boise, with all of my kids, with a dog, and all blah, blah. Anyway, so with that said, and I had twice moved across the country in a 6-month period of time, because I moved from Alabama, and then 6 months later I moved to Boise. Oh, you see what I mean? And so they were like, well, and I said, well, what does my new blood work look like? They were like, God, you're super healthy. Like, these are all awesome numbers.
Yeah.
And I kind of laughed. I was like, that's amazing. I'm not surprised, because stress creates all of the insulin, like blood sugar goes up just because of stress.
Interesting.
So I didn't have to be.
No, it's interesting. I mean, it's from being, that's such a good learning experience for you to have personally gone through that, It's invaluable.
Well, and it's also book knowledge. Another reason why I didn't just get all freaked out and go back to the doctor when I was just like, don't forget, the reading all the science around stress helps.
Yeah.
The fact that I didn't overreact to that process. But, when you have these outcomes, it's really unfair to your body to not admit what you did over the previous year. It would be like unfair to my body to go in and get a diagnosis of diabetes without saying, oh, this is called stress diabetes. And it's supposed to be that way. It's literally supposed to work that way. That's how the body's meant to work under these types of incredibly high pressurized, stressed environments.
Yeah.
It would be unfair for me to not divulge that information to those doctors. To just be like, oh my God, my body's all flawed. It's the sugar I've been eating, which, I wasn't. Maybe I need to lose weight. Because that's the first thing they would have said, which is crazy, because they would have looked at me and...
Can you imagine if you bought into that, then where you'd be right now?
Well, it was more like type 1. That was the crazy thing. So they would have immediately put me on... Yeah, they would have immediately put me on... Yes. And what would have happened is my body recovered from the stress and naturally healed itself if I'm still on insulin when I don't need it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's not to say that they weren't doing or thinking the right way, but it was unfair. It would have been unfair for me to use that blood work to define the body in that state when I knew full well that 3 months earlier, which is what they're testing, I was literally moved across the country a second time in 6 months. You see what I mean? That's why when you texted me, oh, I've got, high blood pressure. Does this mean I should do the protocol? And I was like, no. Did you tell them that you just recovered from a significantly insane emotional, psychological problem?
Yeah, just looked at puzzle.
Which you were binging for 3 months straight, as you described, and I'd eat a whole pizza. My God, I have to do the protocol to fix it. And what's that going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, relax. Last thing you need to do is go back into something's wrong with my body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's schedule to follow up here, my dear. Thanks for letting me share this.